Hi everybody, and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. Quick reminder, don't forget to check out my shorts channel. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Link is in the description. Now, let's get started with today's story. This post is from the subreddit Relationships, and it's by user Wannabe Fashion Sis. My 35 female sister, 29 female, is unemployed, living with me and wasting time and our parents' money on a delusional career path. How do I tell her she needs to get her act together? Hi Reddit, I want to start by saying I love my sister and my family, but they've put me in a situation that's straining our relationships. I'll provide some backstory. My mother and father have been married for 39 years. They are amazing and supportive of all their children. I am the eldest at 35, my brother Ian is 32, and my sister Ashley is 29. When I was 19, my grandmother passed away and left her house to my father, who never planned to return because of post-trauma. I was given the house. Legally, it is my house in my name, with the agreement that I continue paying the mortgage and utility on my own. I've since finished paying it off and began remodeling. Around the time I was 24, my brother Ian moved in for a year to be closer to his job. During this time, he paid rent and bought food and house supplies. It was a great year of bonding for us. He eventually moved in with his girlfriend, now wife. So now I'm 35, living in this house, and I get home one day to find Ashley unpacking in the extra room, saying she was moving in. I got no notice of this. I talked to my parents about this and they said, "It's temporary while she's at college." This flustered me because she has always been very anti-college and preaches that you don't need a degree to get a job, that it just puts you in more debt, blah blah blah. I tell them that I'm uncomfortable with this, and they just brush it off saying, "Ian stayed with you. It'd be rude of you not to help your sister." The difference is that Ian is a sweetheart and Ashley is a sour patch. But they agreed to pay her rent and assured me it'll only be a year, and I try to let it go. However, the issues started literally the next day because despite my house being closer to her school, it's still too far for her and she doesn't have a bus fare, so she demanded I take her to school. After her whining, I gave in and did it only to find out it was a fashion school. My parents gave me the impression that she was doing something to turn her life around and find a career. I have nothing against the fashion industry, but it isn't a stable path for an unemployed, nearly 30-year-old woman. Anyway, the first month goes by and it's bill time. I lay it out. I didn't include the remodeling fees because I didn't think was fair to charge her for it. And she flips her crap, starts screaming and crying that how dare I ask for money, then calls our parents and throws the phone at me and walks away. They explained that they can't afford to pay for both her college and her rent, and that she's my sister, I should let it go. Not only is she living in my house, but she's eating my food, she can't buy her own, and wasting my gas for this BS class. They now give me $200 a month to cover gas. I must come off as a bad person trashing my sister's career path, but I feel like she doesn't have a future in this and her grades reflect it. She is incredibly negative and rude to anyone who attempts to help her. This includes her former teacher who had her transferred to a different class after an incident that she won't tell me about. She's also a huge bigot. There are many black gay men in her school who, in her words, are untalented and only there because ethnic and gay. I should mention that I am a lesbian and her language is beyond offensive, even when I have company over. Now, my friends politely decline my invitations to come over. She regularly has tantrums, almost daily, about how she's being discriminated against and acts like she's more stressed than medical or law school students. She feels as though her clothing is better than the grades she's receiving. I'm not a fashion expert, but I think the criticism she receives is more than fair. Her clothes are generic and look like something you could pull off a rack at Forever 21, which wouldn't be a bad thing if she didn't keep trying to say it's high fashion and couture. She also thinks she is single-handedly responsible for bringing back chokers, pink hair, braids, etc. Wow, this has turned into a book. But wait, there's more. Even though I don't agree with her career choice, I've tried to help her with marketing by making accounts on Instagram, Depop, Etsy, and Facebook. She deleted every account once they got so much as a "looks cheap" and then said that Gucci and Versace didn't get famous off social media. What do I do, Reddit? What changes can be made? I don't mind her living with me, but shouldn't she be able to buy her own food? Would it be rude to tell her I don't want her around when I have company? Am I just being overly judgmental? Yikes, no OP, your sister is... wow. Here's the change I propose. You should go from living with one sister in your house to living with 0 sisters in your house. You just gotta love the hypocrisy of an entitled and enabled brat. Here's my impression of your sister. Oh, college degrees are useless, they just put you in more debt. Also your sister, mommy and daddy are paying for college. Anyway, OP, back to your problem. This isn't your problem. She shouldn't be your responsibility. This is your parents' and her fault. She's a 29-year-old child. Honestly, a 29-year-old person behaving like Veruca Salt is just ridiculous. She's already made your home life hell, and your friends are not going to your house anymore. That's hindered your social life. That shouldn't happen. So if I was in your shoes, my decision would be, sister can't stay with me anymore. And even though it might put a strain in my relationship with my parents, so sorry, but I'm not the one who should sustain her. She should be sustaining herself, and in the case that she can't because she has no life skills, well, sorry mom and dad, this is your making, so you gotta deal with it. As a side note, I kinda get the feeling that your parents are absolutely fed up with your sister's behavior, which they caused, and they just dumped her on you because they can't deal anymore. Anyways, what do you guys think about this whole thing? What would you do if you were in OP's shoes? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Razzle Dazzle Rachel says, it's no doubt your sister needs to get her crap together, but so do your parents. She's 29 and she can't get a part-time job or figure out her own way to her BS fashion school? OP, I'm 29, live 1,300 miles from everyone in my family, and have had a job and live alone financially independent since I was 22. She's not 19. You call her on her crap and give her a timeline to get some sort of rent payment together and her own transport to school. I'd give her 45 days to get a part-time job and save up money to pay you what you're owed. If your parents wish to throw that 200 to her now that you aren't driving her, that's on them. I'd draw up paperwork for this and get a lease started that is month to month. If she doesn't get her act together, then I'd start a formal legal process of eviction. It would be awkward with both her and your parents, but geez, she's nearly 30. She should be able to come with some sort of solution to contribute to her room and board. It might be the wake-up call she needs. It might not be, but your peace of mind and financial needs are important too. You don't have to have a forced squatter grown woman child in your home. If your parents want to coddle her so much, she can move home with them. But your 29-year-old fully capable sister is not your problem. And OP responds, I'd like to give her a chance. Maybe I wasn't clear enough with her that I expected something out of this. I like the idea of creating a timeline for her to get her crap together, and our parents giving her the 200 instead for bus fare. I'd rather not get legal things involved, but I should start a monthly lease. Thanks for your advice. Andromeda Mountain says, just flat out tell her this isn't working for you. That, or give her an ultimatum to get a part-time job to pay for her bills or she can leave. I'm a STEM major, full-time, at a competitive college, and I have time for my job. She can figure it out. You're letting them push you around because they're family. Let them know they're burning the bridge if they want to keep up how this is currently being run, because it honestly is. You are developing a lot of resentment to multiple people. And OP responds, I'm feeling very taken advantage of by my parents, also kind of jealous they never helped me. I was given the house, but paid more than half of the original mortgage on my own at 19 years old. If I asked for any help, they just say, the house wasn't enough? This is making me resent them. When I confront her, should I also have my parents there as well? Kongor Booth says, OP, you come across as a doormat. I don't know if as the oldest kid you were tasked as the problem solver of the family or what, but none of this is normal. Ideally, you should have shut it down when you walked in your home and found your sister unpacking with zero permission or advanced notice. It is not at all normal that you weren't asked about this, and your parents are being disingenuous to pretend like it's no big deal. They're probably just relieved your sister isn't in their house anymore. She is 29. She is a grown adult and she is not your responsibility. If your parents want to fund this long-shot fashion dream of hers, that's their business. But you don't have to have a huge bigot freeloading trash mouth failure to launch living in your house. Kick her to the curb. And Opie responds, I was definitely the problem solver. Instead of my parents confronting difficult situations, they often expected me to guide them through it as the eldest. I was also blamed for their mistakes, although it happens less after I moved. Thank you for saying this. I didn't realize how not normal it is until this post. Additional information from OP. I did get half of my grandma's house for free. However, I've since paid more in repairs to the house than what half of the original mortgage was. And because I was given the house, I was essentially kicked out at 19 and told I could live here and pay for it or find somewhere else to live. Also, my siblings got an actual inheritance. I did not. They also got 2 well taken care of vintage cars among other things from grandma's estate that add up to much more than half the house value. My sister immediately spent all of this money on who knows what. Opie's edit. You guys are right. She isn't going to move out after a year, even if she manages to finish her class. She's just going to keep on doing the same crap. I will be making a contract this weekend with a deadline date for her to get her crap together. I'll also address my parents, but separately. I'll be presenting it to her Sunday and I'll update how it goes. Okay, well OP got some pretty solid advice all in the same direction and she is going to take action. So let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. Hi again Reddit, I'm sorry for taking a while to update, but I wanted to wait and give you something worthwhile. I'll start by saying she is gone. I'll go into detail though for those who are interested. So after my first post, I stood up all night reading and replying to comments and you all made me realize how messed up the situation was. Despite that, I still wanted to give my sister Ashley a chance because I felt like if someone didn't tell her she was being an ass, then she'd just continue to think it was okay. I made a contract, big thanks to user Gnobel for the help. These were the conditions. She'd have 2 weeks to look for a job or set up a way to sell her stuff, and starting next month, she'd need to start paying rent and I'd be making her a renter with a month-to-month legal contract. Once she graduates or fails, she's out. She'd have to stop with the bigoted speech, period. She would be responsible for her own food and transportation. I will no longer be accepting gas money to take her to school, and if our parents choose to give her that money for bus fare, then it'd be on them. I also made a chore list marked with her responsibilities. So on Sunday, I sat her down and told her we needed to have a talk and then presented her with this list. As expected, she flipped her crap, absolutely lost it. Just started crying and whining, then stormed off to her room. I was just waiting for the inevitable call from my parents. When I got it, I was ready to argue with them, but to my surprise, they actually agreed with me. My father pretty much said, "It's about time you grew some balls." They also told me that if I didn't tell her to grow the hell up, then she'd never learn. I got the impression that they pawned her off on me so she would get a dose of reality, and that instead of showing it to her, I let her walk all over me. I know that my parents' call sounds a little harsh, but it still encouraged me to stand strong. After about an hour, Ashley came out of her room and said she was ready to negotiate. I literally laughed and told her that this isn't a negotiation, but she'll do it or she'll need to find a new place to live. She started crying about how unfair it was and that I was being an a-hole. I told her that if everyone she meets is an a-hole, then maybe she's the a-hole. This line was posted somewhere in the comments and I couldn't wait to say it to her. She stormed out crying and didn't come out all night. On Monday, she began going to school on her own and my parents did decide to give her the $200 for bus fare and an extra $100 for groceries. When I made the first post, we were already low on food and I usually shop on Sunday, but this week I decided that I wouldn't and that I'd eat out for a while instead. There was still basic stuff for sandwiches and ramen, but that wasn't good enough for her. The moment she got home, she went to the fridge and threw a fit, saying I'm trying to starve her out. I left and ate with my friends and had a great night. When I got back, she was giving me the silent treatment and then randomly screamed, "Why are you doing this to me? I'm your effing sister!" I told her that as long as she's staying with me, she's responsible for herself. More silent treatment all through Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday rolls around and she calls me at work asking for a ride home. I told her to take the bus and she says that she doesn't have money for it since she has to buy her own food now. It was literally 4 days. I flat out asked what she spent it on because that is ridiculous. She's been taking Ubers at rush hour and restaurants. I didn't pick her up, but transferred her $5 for the bus and she had the nerve to be upset about it. She didn't even use it and ended up calling our brother Ian. She threw a crap fit in his car and blurted out that she quit school because all of this was too much pressure, that she hates me and can't stand living with me and my BS rules, along with some more bigoted slurs. My brother knows about our contract and immediately said, "Pack your crap and get out." When I got home, he was already putting stuff in his truck and she was sitting on the couch crying. The moment she sees me, she just starts screaming and cursing until she's red in the face, and Ian told her to get in the car. She left after giving the whole "I'm never speaking to you again" speech. It's Friday and I'm waiting to get my locks changed. My parents did not allow Ashley back after finding out she quit school, so she's going to be staying with our cousin Amy, who is a 38-year-old military veteran who doesn't take crap from anyone. Very fitting for the situation. Thank you for your help, Reddit. Well, OP, I'm gonna call this a very, very happy update, aside from the fact that your dad is a jackass. It's about time you grew some balls. What about you, Dad? I kinda get the feeling that I know where Ashley got her stupid sense of entitlement. Anyways, she's out, so you actually don't lose anything if she doesn't speak to you again. That's a positive, I'd say. Now you get to invite your friends again to your house. Thank you so much for sharing, OP, and all the best in the future. Take care. Now, let's keep the good mood rolling and go to another post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Mitten Deathfinger. Don't want to heed my warning about giving deep discounts to wealthy clients? I work for a company that does commissions for clients. I am the manager of my department. This comes with a number of responsibilities, one of them being bidding on work. Last fall, I evaluated the current global situation and how it would be affecting the costs of our supplies and possible shortages as well as inflation. As a result, I priced a few of our pieces of work to help prepare us for the price increases I had predicted, giving us an 8 to 10% profit upon completion. A well-known client came in and contracted us to do a rather large and time-intensive project. This individual is very well off and is in no way in any danger to be going broke anytime soon. However, this client complained about the new prices. He had contracted us in the past on certain items and wanted the same work done again, but seeing the new price, he complained to the boss and threatened to go elsewhere. The owner, my boss, decided I had priced the work too high based on the complaints of this one customer. Previous customers had not batted an eye. Boss asks me to adjust the price to be the same as the competition. Just so you know, the competition does not carry the same quality standards and often has a 2 to 3 year turnaround. I explained to the boss that my numbers were based on the increases from suppliers and subcontractors with who I speak regularly. These companies we work with warned me beforehand about what was coming, and I took it all to heart. I had passed the warning on to the boss at the time, but it appeared he blew it off or forgot about it, and at the time of making the new price list, he didn't complain. It wasn't until this one, somewhat well-known local client rose a stink that he decided to bring the issue up with me. So boss insisted that we should be pricing lower to keep up with the competition or we would lose this customer. Of course, I argued that it would hurt us in the long run and all we would be doing is attracting tire kickers. He stood his ground though, and I didn't have the energy to fight him on it, so in the end, he's the boss and got what he wanted. So the time came to order the supplies and pay the subcontractors. The cost of these materials as well as the work done on them were 90% of the price boss had agreed to the customer. This is before my own labor costs were factored in. The boss sees the bill and gets really upset and asks me what the customer was paying to have the work done. I gently reminded him this was for rich tire kicker customer and I had warned him well beforehand, but because he wanted to retain rich tire kicker customer, he got what he wanted, but the company did the work at cost and perhaps more with my labor factored in. Boss later came to me and asked me to make up a new price list. I told him I didn't need to. I did that last fall and as long as no one gives deep discounts, we'll be in the green. He's listening to me now. Well, OP, your boss literally paid the price for being an idiot. Well done. Thanks for sharing. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really did enjoy reading them to you. So if you did, then don't be shy and go ahead and give the video a like. And don't forget to subscribe or even share this video with people that you might think will enjoy my storytelling. Also, if you have the time, go down to the video description and check out all the links I have for you, from our Discord community to my channel merch. And finally, I'd like to say thank you for watching. It really means a lot to me that you enjoy my videos. And having said all that, I'll see you guys in the next video.